Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to be cooking today, and you guys get to just chat with me and ask me all the questions. Let's go ahead and start cooking so that I can also show you what happens when it happens in the kitchen, when the off-gassing happens. Okay, so essentially I'm going to take these plantain banana pieces, and then cutting them soft. So if you are just joining us, basically you're going to cook with me my carbs for today. I haven't had any. I just had some ground beef today, but I am making plantains, and so I like to have them pretty much black so it's soft on the inside. Now these are sweet. So you take your plantain banana like so, and then I just chop it up into, you know, maybe an inch, half an inch. So I'm also using this pan, which is a 360 cookware stainless steel. So part of also keeping your air purified and clean while you're cooking, getting pans that don't have coatings on them, because then you're not releasing any toxic chemicals that are coated with, or plastics, honestly, in the air, because that's another thing that is microplastics in the air. So let's go. So the water trick is if you just sprinkle a little bit of water in there. I'll show you this. See if this doesn't mean it's ready, because it's not dancing. The water balls have to like ball dance, and then once they dance, then the pan is ready, which lessens your stick to food ratio. So now I will take some bacon grease. This is from my corn and soy-free bacon. If you guys want to know what farms I source from, go ahead, click my favorites. So I will add some of these sweet plantains, right? I'm going to place this in the pot or in the pan in the bacon grease. Look who wants to join us. Let's see. I think Mike is joining us. Oh, there he is.
Good morning. I'm awake.
Guys, I was in the hot seat. Everybody's like, "Where's Mike? This Mike that you speak of."
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going.
You're going to the Jaspr house?
No, I'm going to the Civil Goat to get some coffee.
Oh, the Civil Go. Okay, if anybody's in If anybody's in Austin, go to the Civil Go. I love that spot. So that's one of my favorite coffee.
I was waiting for the balls to be dancing on the pan.
Oh, well, they did. You missed the balls dancing in the pan. So I taught them that trick when we cooked Wagyu beef over at your house the other day.
Good morning. It was a late night and a slow morning.
Yeah, I hear you. That's okay. So I'm cooking plantain.
We're here now.
And I was telling everybody about just, when you cook, that there's a lot of particulate matter that comes into the air, especially if you cook on your stovetop or even in your oven. And so I think it's really important to just sort of have some tips to create a good airflow without your house, so it doesn't stay in your house and that doesn't accumulate in your body and your cells and all the things. And so that could also relate to other health issues, from lung issues to respiratory to gut health to skin health. So do you want to tell us like what's happening here when I'm cooking, and what kind of particles are being released in the air when you're not filtering properly?
Have you told him about your range hood?
Oh, no, not yet, but I will go grab a tissue paper.
Well, not just that. Lindsay's range hood, I think it's the microwave style, and it literally just shoots the air into the cabinet above. It doesn't even vent it outside. And this is more common than you think.
Yeah, he came over my house the other day, and he was like, "It doesn't even work." Or not the other day, months ago actually, when I got this air purifier. So let me show you. Actually, Jaspr just kicked on too. So okay, so I'm cooking, right, plantains in bacon grease and animal fats, right? So now it went from 4 particulate matter to now it's 30, and it's kind of going up. So okay. So see, so now it's getting orange, which I'm gonna go ahead and, should I turn the vent fan on?
Definitely. But
Okay.
I mean, in your case, it won't matter. So I just saw a question that said, "How will you know if it's not going outside?"
Yep.
And in your case, because literally you can see the vent in her cabinet where the air is blowing, And this is like more common than people would think. You're not in a building, but in buildings, this is like very, very common.
Yeah, it like
And this
literally it's right
that
here.
stack is just cut open. It's right
So
there.
it still goes in the house. So the particular matter is still in the house. So now actually this is at, look at this, 124 now. So it's going off. I hope my fire alarm doesn't go off. But so what else can you do? You could turn on the fan. You could try your vent.
Yeah, a cool experiment that we've played with before is if we put an air quality sensor in the house when you do have air cleaners versus don't. And cooking particulate can stay in your house for days if you don't do anything to filter it.
Yes.
Same with carbon dioxide. If you have a party and a lot of people are over at your house, you'd think that those cooking smells and particles would dissipate in a couple of hours. Sometimes that's just the smells that you can detect. But from a particulate perspective, it can take quite a few days because homes are built very tight. That's why they're reasonably energy efficient, keep the heat in the winter, keep the cool in the summer. Um, so yeah, you trap everything inside. So if a range hood, you want the range hood to vent all the way outside. If the range hood vents to your attic, that's better, but it's still not very good. That's definitely a recipe for mold. Um, because all that humidity is just getting pumped into the enclosed space in your attic. So the best is you want something that vents directly outside. So what number are you up to now?
408, the particulate matter. So
Yeah, that's high.
hold on, let me show you. Yeah, see, look at that. 408. Now
For context, when I used to do like when you see a ton of wildfire smoke in like British Columbia or California, you can barely see outside. That's usually like a 300,
oh
200 to
wow.
300. So yeah, 400's very, very high. And
Yeah,
I would
so I
agree with that 70% prediction, maybe even 80%. But even if it's 80 or 90%, the fact that over 1 in 10 people have range hoods that don't do anything, and then those are just the ones that vent inside. A lot of them, me and Lindsay tested another one last week, when you put the Kleenex or the tissue up to the range hood, it was actually blowing air out. So very often they're not actually sucking air.
right.
Same with your bathroom fans. So yes, D-Mala, you can open your windows and sliding glass door, but Lindsay's in Texas and it's like 100 degrees right now.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you
And then
created a new problem.
if you live in like urban areas, how effective is that? Especially when like you also live like to your next door neighbor who's who's like doing laundry and all of that, like,
I
scented,
have a
phthalate
pause button.
filled like laundry detergent is coming into the air. Like, how effective is that?
30-second break. I'm grabbing a quick coffee over here.
What's
Grabbing
that?
a coffee. 1 sec.
Oh,
I'll be
good.
right back.
Okay, yeah. So is that from the barista guy that we talked about the other day? No. Oh, he's grabbing a coffee, you guys.
Actually, he's not there, but we could tell him about him.
Oh my
We
gosh,
have
yeah, I'm gonna tell you guys
to
that.
do an Instagram live with him next time. I'll be right back, but you
So
can tell him about him.
Mike met a barista in I guess at Silver Goat Coffee who eats all raw meat, and he's been eating this way for like 8 to 10 years or whatever. So he probably won't have any issues because he doesn't cook in his home, just as far as like from cooking gas or from cooking particulates that go into the air. But he eats, so I'm going to interview him soon, and he's like healed his gut through eating raw meat, which is just crazy to me. So, I mean, also very believable. There's a whole community that does just eat raw meat for a bunch of different reasons, but I'm not going to get into that now because we're just going to kind of talk about what I'm cooking here, which is sweet plantains, some of my favorite. And I'm actually going to add a little bit more bacon grease because why not? Seriously, like, who wants to object to that? And if you do, no. Well, the answer is always more fat. So that's what we're doing now. Adding more bacon grease. All right, so let me show you what the Jaspr looks like because it is going off. And I turned on my fan to help with the air circulation, but now it's at 218. Okay, so that is filtering out the particulate matter. I turned my stove to a little bit lower. So what you can do, a few tips is, yeah, try to turn your oven fan on, but it won't always filter. Like I said, like Mike even said, mine doesn't even work. It actually spits it back out into my home, and so those can accumulate in the home. And then what that means for our health is like skin, hair, respiratory, immune system, inflammation, all of that can participate in just, making those worse or things like that. Do you have a bathroom fan you can turn on too? Yeah, you can turn that on too, just to kind of circulate the whole house. Correct.
Lindsay,
So,
are we live again, Lindsay? Can you hear
yeah,
me, see
we're
me?
live.
Is my camera working? I just see black.
Yeah, you are. I'm live, but you kind of keep coming in and out just
Hmm.
because, you're getting
No, no,
coffee.
no, we're good. I'm back in the game. You would rather me caffeinated than not. Okay, one sec.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
This is my first time ever doing an Instagram live.
Oh, wow.
So thank
There's
you for bringing
breaking,
me.
busting the cherry.
Hmm.
Okay. So, for those of you that just joined, what's happening right now is I'm live with Mike, who just decides to get a coffee while we're live, which is totally fine. And he is a expert in all things air awareness, air quality. He's been a mold remover expert, does restorations as well too, and he's a wildfire expert. So what Mike has done is he's been through tons and tons of homes and wildfires, and then seen what type of toxins accumulate essentially in the air, not only when there is a wildfire, but as we cook, if there's mold and if there's other sort of pollutants and toxins in the air that can accumulate, that can also at the end of the day affect our health, right? From our hair to our skin to our respiratory system, immune system, even like our gut. And when we're breathing in about 20,000 liters a day, right? 20,000 liters a day, we're breathing in about that much. Air quality is pretty important, and so that's why we're here today to talk more with Mike about that. And particularly, my audience cooks. We like to cook, and a lot of them cook indoors in the oven and on the stovetop, which releases a bunch of different particles into the air that can either stay in your home if you don't create the proper airflow or purify the air properly. So, Mike, if you want to just tell them a
Yeah,
little bit about what's happening when we're cooking, what
I
type
do.
of
And just to answer D Mala's question, what's better, electric or gas? So this one's definitely debatable. I know some professional chefs prefer the heat of gas. My personal favorite is induction. I feel like you get the best of both worlds. So when I was testing the air quality in homes for about 10 years, I never saw a house when we would test for carbon monoxide in the home that didn't have at least zero point 0.5 parts per million. Um, so aside from the particulate standpoint, it's almost 100% of the time that there's a little bit of carbon monoxide. Now, if you look at the EPA and other standards, they talk about safe levels of carbon monoxide, but I believe I would rather have no carbon monoxide in my house. And this is ambient carbon monoxide that's literally in every room of the house. So I prefer electric and induction because of A, the carbon monoxide, and B, um, I just would rather not have the make the mistake of leaving a gas appliance on. I've heard a lot of horror stories of people who leave their gas stoves on by accident overnight, or a kid turns it on. So I personally like induction or electric, but that's specifically from an air quality perspective. I can't speak to the cooking efficacy of the gas.
Yeah. Okay, great. No, I love those tips.
So
Yeah, and as you can see here, just as I'm cooking to what's being filtered out in the air by the Jasper, and even though like the oven fan or hood range is on, it's here. So it's at
so
1:30 now.
so yeah, about
Um,
the particulate that you were talking about there. So the particulates that we find in the air when we cook are the biggest thing to look out for is just regular PM 2.5. So that's particle matter smaller than 2.5 microns in size. And that's the size that gets into your lungs and into your bloodstream and is the most problematic, which is why when you read about air quality online, and that's generally the particle size that they reference for um, harmful size particles. with respect to other stuff. So you also get PAH, which is polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, which are also, that's one of the big things that when we're restoring a home after wildfire smoke, that we're always testing for and cleaning for. Um, if you just think about it, you know, when you heat something up, you air, if you freeze something, like let's just say it's a liquid state, you freeze it, you have solid state. If you heat it, you have gas state. You know, when you burn something, you can smell it more because you're aerosolizing whatever particles that may be. Um, so when you are cooking, especially meat is not the only thing. Any proteins at high heat or any food at all, when you're aerosolizing it, that's why you smell it when you cook. It's very simple, but you're only smelling something if you're inhaling that exact specific thing. So, um, in this case, you know, cooking generally indoors is a pretty new thing for us humans. Like indoors
Yeah.
is already a pretty new thing for us. Like having these airtight boxes with furnaces and air conditioners that are
Right.
incredibly tight structures. And now not only have we built really tight homes in the last century, but now we also cook in them for, you know, humans will do pretty amazing, like we love comfort and convenience, and we're willing to sacrifice a lot for it. Um,
Yeah.
so so broadly, cooking inside is it's great and it's convenient, but it's not the best thing air quality wise. And a lot of, you know, the questions about can you open windows and stuff, like you, it's a great idea. If you don't live in like a really polluted city or in an area with a bad climate, then I completely suggest opening up a few windows, ideally windows on opposite sides of the house, because that way you get a cross breeze. If you just open a singular window, then it's not nearly as effective. But if you open a window on opposite sides of the house, then it creates a cross breeze and it's way more effective.
Nice. Yeah, and this is why I typically actually like cook outside a lot of the times too. In my grill, and you know, even sometimes like one of those like hot plates I'll take outside and plug it in outside if I'm cooking something like this, because I know that a lot of this will get in the air, and just to kind of, you know, remove it from the source, right? So it doesn't have to be like, oh, get an air purifier, which it does obviously help. Like I don't think I'll ever not have an air purifier ever again, just because of what I know of the accumulation factors of the particles, and that it does like stay in your house. But you know, just being more mindful of like getting outside more. I love your recommendation of like, you know, taking the kids to the park and doing it all at once, you know, not having to rush to eat, then go to the park, or go to the park and rush at the park just to go home and eat. Like you can kind of like do a little camping adventure like at home while you're there, like a little picnic, and I love that. And so for those people who are just joining, this is Mike, who is a wildfire expert. He does mold restorations, or he used to rather, and also is just air awareness, air quality expert. So if you guys want to know a little bit more about that, please DM me. And also like my recommendations on air purifiers. Mike happens to make one of the best air purifiers on the market just because of his background and utilizing all of sort of like a problem solution scenario, and putting that to work really, where he's developed this purifier. So DM me if you guys want that purifier, and codes.
How would it help with asthma? This is it's not so black and white as much as like how would the air purifier help you with asthma? The real question is how would not breathing something in particular help you with asthma? So let's say you have high levels of pollen or high levels of mold or high levels of dust. The question would be like, what would it feel like, or what would it be like if you weren't breathing that amount of dust or that amount of mold or that amount of smoke particulate? You know, if you're in the Amazon rainforest, you don't need an air purifier. If you live in the jungle in Costa Rica, you don't need an air purifier because you already live in an area that's generally has really good air. It's when we live inside tight homes that generally have mold and pollen and dust and pet dander and city pollution accumulating. So I've seen a lot of success stories where people's asthma attacks significantly decline just by having a cleaner source of air when they sleep, when they work. So it's impossible to say how it would help, but I have seen quite a lot of situations. It's like, even if you don't have asthma, it's going to help you sleep better. It's going to help you with your allergies. It's going to help you focus. I call air sleep fuel and thinking fuel. So when you just clean up the fuel that you're putting in your body, it usually has a pretty positive impact.
Yeah, awesome. We also had somebody that just hopped online to look up the purifier and take the quiz, and they're like wanting my husband to purchase it. Anyways, also I recently plugged in my air fryer back to cook fish, because last time I used it in the house, the fish smell. Yep. And so if you're smelling fish, there's definitely that particular matter in the air. So well done. And then you could also sort of like do like a little scrubber and a cleaner in the house by, you know, getting a quality air purifier. So if you guys want to know more about this, it's
jaspr.co. So Jasper without the E.co. With respect to trying to convince your husband, so if you filled out the quiz, you'll start getting really educational emails about cooking, about mold, about microplastics that we breathe. So yeah, if you do the quiz on our website, you'll just get dripped into a educational campaign about all kinds of stuff, and then we'll send you some more educational emails about your specific situation. So whether you have kids or pregnant or dogs or cats or pets or a new home or live in a wildfire zone, we only send emails to people that are specifically relevant to you. So if you have a cat, we won't email you about how a dog impacts your air. If you have a dog, we won't email you about a cat. If you have both, we'll send you both. So we really tried. I hate getting bombarded by emails and spams and discount codes every single day. So we've made sure that we only email people with specific insights to their situation. With the air fryer situation, you recently plugged in your air fryer and it smelled for days. So think about this. That's the smell lingered for days. But think about all the particulates that weren't recognizable by your nose that were then embedded into your carpets, into your clothing, into your furniture, into your insulation. So it's best to clean, like, for example, dust in a house is an indoor problem. You don't see dust on the street outside or on the sidewalk or on your driveway or in your car. It's what happens when we don't have ventilation, we don't have UV rays from the sun, we don't have hydroxyl radicals from the wind. So ideally, when you have a healthy, clean home and a good hygiene strategy, you're cleaning your home's surfaces regularly. But if you can actually clean things from the air, you get much less accumulation on the surfaces to begin with.
Hmm. Yeah. No, I love these tips. And we also offer more tips too, where we have a YouTube little discussion and interview that dives into all of this, like in-depth, happening at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. Also, you know, just being a part of a community that really just cares about your health and just, you know, connecting with beautiful partners like yourself. And I think that together we can just really grow the message. And I feel that just being more aware, being more intentional human as we navigate modern life and modern society, because a lot of modern challenges are being indoors all the time, or being, you know, stimulated by media and input. So we want to just make sure that we're sort of filtering out as much as we can to just sort of keep our body in balance.
So, okay, Lindsay. So two things. Number one, I got to go in a sec. I'm 10 minutes late. I just, I wanted to jump on while you're cooking here and answer a couple of questions. After, if anybody has more questions, when our podcast drops, just drop them in the comments on YouTube, and I'll literally go on and record a Loom video. I don't care if it takes an hour. I'll answer every single question one at a time.
Wow.
When we're not in a rushed format. I just wanted to pop on and join you this morning and say hi. And for Chrissy said that your vent goes into your attic. So the other one to check is where are your bathroom fans going, because bathroom fans that vent into attics is not one of the highest ways that mold accumulates, because you're just dumping all that moisture into a trapped space. So it's not necessarily a horrible thing if it vents in the attic, as long as the attic vents well. But a much better strategy is when it goes up into the attic, it elbows and then it vents directly outside. But okay, I'm 11 minutes late. It was a pleasure chatting with you this morning. Thanks for cooking up a storm, and we'll do it again. And yeah, to anybody who has questions, check out our YouTube video podcast. We did drop a really exclusive discount for that time. We'll do it again in the future. And if anybody has questions, just drop them on the YouTube, and that way I can record videos and voice notes and answer things more thoroughly than in this format.
That's really generous of your time, and we're excited. So thank you. Go to your meeting. Thank you guys who joined.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.